Hey everybody, Open Air Guy here. So today you are going to see some dog training tips. These are just some things that I have used in my training of Titus. He's a very well trained dog, obedient most of the time. Anyway, so hopefully if you have a dog, hopefully you can benefit from this. If you want to have a dog, well, some good tips to get started. And if you don't have a dog, well, maybe you'll enjoy it anyways. Anyway, if you remember last time, I said that I had a little too much material to put in one video, so this is the second part of a two-part series. Forgotten Road dog training tips. Last time was the drive to and from the bluff, and this time is what I did on the bluff. So enjoy. Alright, so we're here up at the top of the bluff here. We drove in from that direction. This is the top of the bluff. You can see past those green fields there is Long Lake. It stretches down that way towards the dam and then up that way towards the inlet. The road we came in on, if we had taken a straight at that Y, it would have gone down to almost the tree line and cut across down this way, then through the forest and out to Riverside State Park over on Long Lake. Okay, so dog training. Now, I don't claim to be any great dog expert or great dog trainer or anything like that, but these are just some things that I have learned with my own dogs in training them and that I have found have worked well. Obviously, the first thing in training a dog would be communication. You have to communicate to the dog what you want them to do for them to obey. I have found that creating a language that both you and the dog understand is oftentimes the best way to do that. Now, in creating a language, you want to use language the dog already understands. Pack mentality type stuff. The command of the throat. Mealtime precedence. Who gets to eat first? If you're facing them, your attention is focused on them, helps them to have their attention focused on you. Body language, ear position, head position, tail position, is their fur standing up, those kinds of things. How are they standing? Vocal inflections, are they growling, are they whining, are they barking, you know, that kind of thing. You have to kind of understand some of those and kind of work some of that into the language that you create with your dog in order for them to understand you. It also helps to understand what your dog is saying, because communication is a two-way street. So not only do you have to talk to your dog, but your dog has to talk to you, and you have to learn how to understand what they're saying. Body language. Body language is one of the biggest things that dogs use to communicate. Now, for example, right here, Titus is just kind of relaxed. He's a little bit interested in what's around him. His ears are kind of up. He looked off that way, and his ears went up a little bit. Heard something over there. But his tail is just kind of relaxed there. Not much going on. Hanging very naturally. This says, I'm relaxed, I'm at home, maybe even a little bit tired, you know. And then excited, hey buddy, how's it going? See right there? He looked up a little bit, his ears came up and maybe back a little some, and his tail started to wag. And now, he's very content, and his ears are back like this. Oh, now he's hearing something. See, when their ears are up, that means they're attentive. So this is how a dog talks. If you can learn to read that, you can have quite a bit of an advantage. Usually if a dog is trying to position himself as the alpha, or is aggressive or something like that, what'll happen is their tail will come up. He's not liking me grabbing his tail. Anyway, his tail will come up, his ears will be up, and his head will be positioned high as well. And then the fur right here will be bristled up. And that is a sign of aggression. So something I have done is to use hand signals and sounds as well as words in my communication with my dogs. Currently, obviously, Titus is my dog now. For example, oftentimes I'll put my hands to my chest or something like this, and that lets my dog know, lets Titus know, okay, I'm waiting for you to do something. You're not going to get any affirmation or any attention until you do what I've told you to do. Okay, another thing you want to do is you want to pick commands and stick to them, or pick a set of commands and stick to them. Don't change them in the middle of your training. And this is something you can have several different things that mean the same thing. I have specific commands for the word come for Titus, and I don't have anything else for that. So, for example, Titus, walk ye over here. See, he has absolutely no idea what I'm talking about. But if I say, Titus, come, see, he knows exactly what I'm talking about. So in the English language, obviously, if I told him to walk ye over here, that means the same thing as come, basically. But that's that command that I taught him. So you have to pick a command and stay with it. So I really kind of have three different things for come. Something I have, obviously, is the word come. So, Titus, come. Good boy. Good boy. Yes, good boy. Another thing I have is a whistle. Now, this is a very specific whistle. It has to be a specific sound because it has to be the same and they have to be able to recognize it. So, here's my come whistle. And here he is. Good boy. Good boy. And always affirm that your dog has done the right thing. That lets them know, give them lots of rubs and attention. That lets them know that they're a good boy. Oh, yes. I also have a hand signal that means come. Now, I don't use this one as much, but it does mean the same thing. What I do is I look at them, face him, Titus, and pat my leg. So we'll see if he responds. Yep, here he comes. So I just patted my leg right here, and he came. So yeah, again, that's just demonstrating you want to incorporate several different things that mean the same thing. All of those meant come. Now with Titus, it was pretty easy because when he was a puppy, he learned to come get food with a whistle. So I just incorporated that right into it. So I would say come and then whistle, and excuse me, he would come, and that's how he learned the meaning of the word come. Good boy. One of the more important things for actually training a dog is to place yourself in the alpha position. Dogs have kind of a pack mentality. They kind of work off of alpha, beta. They have a ranking system. So what you want to do is you want to put yourself at the top of your dog's ranking system. That will make it much better, much easier for you to actually give them commands, and they'll be much more willing to take those commands. Okay, so I'm going to try to demonstrate a few things here. Command of the throat. Now what I mean by that is having command of the dog's throat gives you a powerful position over the dog. And that comes from the instinct of when wolves go for a kill, when dogs go for a kill, they go for the throat. It's easy to access, it's exposed, you have the esophagus there, you have the main veins running up and down. So if the dog has their teeth or their jaw around another animal's throat, that's a very powerful position. So you can use that in your training. Now obviously don't squeeze or choke your dog or anything like that. I'm not saying that by any means. What I tend to do is I just tend to put my hand there, and I'll try to show you a little bit here. Now Titus has not been a bad boy for quite a while here, so I'm going to kind of show you, but I'm not going to actually show you exactly what I do. Okay, lay. All the way down. Come on. Oh, there you go. It's your belly. Lay over. Oh, you're on the rock. You always move. Move over there. There you go. Okay, lay right there. So what I do if I'm disciplining my dog is I'll put my hand on his throat here like this, and I'm just petting him now here, but I'll actually push him to the ground and hold my hand there, and what that does is it gets him on his back with his feet up, with his parts, with all his underparts exposed, and it puts my hand at his throat. What that does is show him that I am in the one in the powerful position here. Good boy. Okay. So something else that I will use is mealtime precedence, and what I mean by that is who eats first, for example. Now, you have to change it a little bit than what dogs' natural instincts are, because obviously you're not going to eat dog food. I mean, if you want to do that, go ahead. But what I do is I'll say, for example, fill my dog's dish, and when I come to give it to them, by this time they usually, especially when they're a puppy, they know food's coming. They know food's coming, and they want it pretty badly because they're hungry and they're a growing puppy. So what you want to do, say this is my food dish. You're going to set it down, and they're going to come to it. I'm going to set it down, they're going to come to it. You sit right there. See? Stick, this is your food. Yeah, that's your food. Anyways, and then sometimes I will do is I will hold my hand there while they're eating or something like that. And that lets them know that I have command of the food. I can touch the food while they're eating. Or something I will do is I'll set it down. Here, sit, Titus. No, on the ground. There you go, you stay. I'll put the food down and I'll make them wait or make them stay until I actually give them a command to come get the food. Okay, come here. Come and get the food. Oh, no, the food. See the food right here, see? Yeah. Obviously, it's a little rough because it's a stick. But anyway, you get the point. You also want to stand when giving them commands, not necessarily be sitting. And this is more important early stages. Part of that is, if you have noticed, when you squat down to a dog's level, or even, I guess it even works with kids, but anyways, you squat down to a dog's level, they get so much more happy because now you're on their playing field. You're on their playing field and they can come greet you. So when you're, at least at first when you're training a dog, you want to be standing when you give the commands, because that sets, that helps us set kind of the alpha precedences. Okay, I'm standing over here, over above you, I'm the alpha dog. So setting yourself as the alpha is actually very important for dog training. And again, you can use the alpha discipline, yeah, which is the command of the throat, like I was talking. You can also use the standing position, like I was telling earlier. So you should have noticed here that when I got down on his level, he turned much more playful. He's in my lap, he's licking me, his tail is going, he's got a big smile on his face. All of that is because now I'm down at his level, and that means I'm here to play. At least that's what he thinks it means. But if I'm standing up, see, he tends to relax a little more. Because now that naturally means that I am now in more of a commanding position. So use standing up, use the alpha discipline, use mealtime precedence, make sure that the dog knows that you are the alpha dog. One of the ways I do that is by actually taking their food away from them while they're eating. And what this says is I have command of when you eat. And in a dog's language, that means alpha dog. You also want to use the tone of your voice just as much, if not more, as the words you actually say. This kind of goes back to the dog's language, the growl versus the whine or the yelp or something like that. They have different meanings. When you want to use that tonal inflections and stuff in your own language with your dog as well. They'll actually tend to understand that much more than they'll understand a word or something else. Now, I'm not going to demonstrate too much here because I can't go through all of my different vocal inflections with Titus because he hasn't been a bad boy. That's probably where it's mostly important. But let's see if I can demonstrate something. Sit. Now, I'm going to see if I can't demonstrate that vocal inflection has an impact. So I'm going to say something really excitedly to Titus, and we'll see if his attitude changes. If I talk with a normal voice, "Hey Titus, how's it going, buddy? Huh? What you doing?" See, he's just kind of normal and everything, not necessarily excited, just kind of calm and relaxed. But if I go to a higher pitched voice and get more excited, "Hey buddy, how's it going? How's it going, man? How's it going?" He tends to brighten up a little bit and get more excited. So the point I'm trying to prove, or trying to show, is that your vocal inflection has an effect on the attitude that your dog shows. So that's something you want to keep in mind, very importantly, when you're training the dog. So when they're disobedient, you use a disappointed tone or a lower tone. When you're disciplining them, you use even deeper, something sharp. When they're a good boy, you use a high-pitched voice, that kind of thing. Okay, you also want to use context. And what I mean by context is you don't want to give them a command out of place. For example, if your dog is just sitting there doing nothing, you don't necessarily want to yell no at them or tell them no because, well, they're not really doing anything. The dog's not necessarily going to understand, well, what are you talking about? No what? If I told Titus right now to come, it doesn't really mean much. Titus, come. See, he just looks at me. He just looked at me like, wait, what? I'm already here. So context is an important thing because you don't want them to get confused about what a word actually means. And in general, you want to use a command once and once only, and then expect them to obey from that single command. If they're across the park and you tell them to come, you want them to come immediately. You don't want them to, you don't have to tell them several times. And this is obvious because you want them to obey right away. It needs to have an immediate response. But it also, what it does in their minds is it gives the command a greater importance. If you say a word too many times to them, it tends to lose importance to them, and then they just block it out. So your commands, you want them to be important enough that they'll obey on command. And that's not to say that you can't ever use a command more than once. Something that I have done in my training is I expect them to obey on the first command. So if I'm saying come, I say come in just a normal conversational voice or a loud voice, something that lets Titus know what I want him to do. And if he doesn't obey, then I go to a deeper, more serious voice and say it again. Sometimes I'll even say his name along with it. And if he still doesn't obey, then I go into my disciplined voice and I tell him to come. If at that point he doesn't come, then at that point, don't keep saying no, or don't keep saying come, but rather go to them, take them by the collar, and bring them back to the place that you were telling, or that you were calling them from. This again helps to keep that word important in their mind. They don't hear it so many times that they block it out. You want it to be important, so it keeps the times they hear it short or few, and it also helps to reinforce that when I said it the first time, I need you to do it right away. And you also, last thing, you want to be friends with your dog. When you come outside, greet them, say hi, make sure they know that they're loved. This will make them friends with you and enjoy your company much more, and they will want to please you, which you can then use in your dog training to help them to take commands properly. So I think you guys can probably see pretty well. Titus and I are pretty good friends. And that's something that's important, because if a dog is your friend, he will want to please you. And if a dog wants to please you, that's a very powerful tool in training them. Isn't it? Isn't it? Yes, isn't it? Oh boy. Okay, so just to kind of sum up, in training your dog, you want to be able to communicate with them. In communicating with them, you want to kind of create your own language with both you and the dog, your dog can understand. You also want to be able to understand some dog language so you know what they're saying to you. Some of that will be created as you work with them as well. In doing that, you want to incorporate natural dog language, pack language into it that helps them to understand, oh, okay, this is what's going on. You want to use hand signals, sounds, words, as well as words, all of that. You want to incorporate all of that into your language. So you also want to pick commands and stick to them. You want to place yourself as the alpha in the whole ranking, in the dog's ranking system. That gives you the command, that gives you the position to tell them what to do. You want to use context, and you want to use commands once, and you want them to obey it the first time. And you also want to be friends with your dog. Okay, so I hope these few tips helped you guys out. This is something that I enjoy my dog very much, and I enjoy dog training as well. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. And I'll show you guys, the sun's going down here. So I'm going to take this road out this way. So this is the open air guy signing off, and if you want to see more videos like this, like, share, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.